I'm Dr. Anna. In part 1 of this video, we talked about coping with loss and the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, sorrow, and acceptance. If you have not viewed it yet, I invite you to do so. In this video, we will discuss 4 steps for successful grieving. As difficult as it may be, the first step is admit that the loss has occurred. Facing reality is essential for healing. Avoidance and denial only prolong the suffering. Whereas it is normal to experience shock and disbelief after a sudden loss, remaining in this state keeps a person stuck in perpetual distress. It can also bring in depression, anxiety, and other health problems. Acknowledging the loss, on the other hand, helps us to accept reality and moves toward healing and peace. You may be familiar with the Serenity Prayer, which asks God to help us to accept reality. God, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Accepting what we cannot change frees us from being stuck in the pain. If you think about it, whether you admit the loss or not, it has happened. Your desire and feelings will not change the truth, but they will affect you. Acknowledging the loss helps us to walk in the truth and moves us toward well-being. The second step in healthy grieving is acknowledge our feelings. Initially, avoiding the feelings right after a loss provides an escape until we're ready to deal with it. This is okay. But continuing to avoid these feelings can lead to greater distress and interfere with our health. Research has shown that just by naming how we feel, our stress response goes down. When we say, I feel sad, angry, frustrated, numb, helpless, afraid, irritable, etc., we'll feel better. Somehow, labeling the feelings tames it. It gets less intense, and we become less reactive and more able to handle stress. A psychological technique that is helpful in this step is mindfulness. It involves being aware of how you feel, labeling it, and allowing it to pass without doing anything to it. To practice mindfulness, sit in a comfortable, quiet place for a few moments. Close your eyes to minimize distractions. Become aware of any feelings that arise. Identify them by saying, this is sadness, this is anger, etc. Then let the feelings be. Just observe. Don't do anything with them. Do not dwell on them. Don't block them. Don't judge them. Don't analyze them. Don't act on them. And don't fix them. Just let the feelings come, name them, and let them pass naturally on their own. Do not do anything with them. Some people find it helpful to also use slow, deep breathing when they practice mindfulness. You can do this by breathing in slowly and exhaling slowly while naming the feelings in your mind and observing them come and go. If you sense that the feelings have diminished or gone away, then relax in knowing that you're getting better. Depending on the intensity of the grief, you may need to practice mindfulness daily 1 or more times, for a few minutes each time. When the feelings become less intense, you can do it a few times per week. After acknowledging the loss and the feelings, the third step of successful grieving is remembrance. This may include remembering what you miss and not miss about the loss. For example, if the loss is about losing a job, then you can review what you liked or disliked about working in that position. For the loss of a loved one, you may write a letter to the person saying things you wanted to but did not get to say. You can also put up memorial pages on social media, participate in a funeral or memorial service, prepare a favorite dish the person liked, or plant a flower or tree in their memory. Remembering someone who passed can include inviting family and friends to share photos and stories with you via email, phone, text, video, letters, or in-person visits. All these venues bring support, which is vital during grieving. Remembrance brings about healthy mourning and helps us to accept the loss. Most people find that after these 3 steps, they feel better. Grief times become less intense. They occur less frequently and get shorter and shorter in time. Even during mourning, a person can still find moments of pleasure and happiness. And most folks are able to return to their regular routine and daily tasks with time. If you find that you're not feeling better after 6 months, your grief is getting worse, or it is difficult to resume your normal life, then it is time to get help. Talk with a professional counselor. If you need help finding one, then get a referral from your pastor or doctor. Unresolved grief can turn into clinical depression or complicated grief, in which one is stuck in intense mourning. Even though everyone has a different timetable for grieving, if the distress is not easing up after 6 months, then it is time to get help. Finally, the 4th and last step is release the loss. Releasing the loss involves setting it free, letting go, and saying goodbye. In many cultures, a ritual for releasing the deceased is to scatter their ashes. This is one way of moving toward closure and saying goodbye. Step 4 helps us to let go of the past. It is letting go of what can no longer be and accepting reality. This step allows you to release the pain so you can heal and move on with life. It does not mean that the person who died is any less significant to you or that you're being disloyal to the loved one. If the person cared about you, they will want you to be well and to be free from despair. If you, like me, believe in a God who created us and loves us, you can release the loss to Him in prayer. I gave a demonstration of the prayer of release in the video Overcome Anxiety Part 2. If you have not seen it yet, I invite you to do so. We don't know why some things have to be, but God is with us in our suffering, and He comforts us. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. We also know from Romans 8:28 that He redeems our pain and changes us. We know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him. No matter what we face, no matter what we lost, God is able to bring good out of it. You may find that in time, God will lead you to invest your energy in new endeavors, ministries, and people. When you release the loss and pain to Him, He will replace them with new visions, new goals, and fresh aspirations. Trust God. He is with you, and He will restore and refresh you with new hope.